I made Karen's son become trans, she demands compensation. Obligatory English is not my first language, blah blah blah. Story takes place in Mexico City, so dialogues and stuff are roughly translated by yours truly. I know it's long, so apologies in advance and thanks for letting me vent. Edit, thanks for all the love and the awards peeps. I'll try to get back to everyone that has take some time to write, but honestly never thought this would blow up so much. And please, if you are considering to give this post any award, I would so much more love if you can find a charity or something you feel worthy of it. Every dollar can make a difference. TLDR, Karen first gets upset with me for smoking at a smoking area, and when finding out I am trans demands I compensate her for turning her son trans, then demands the coffee shop compensate her, ends up getting kicked out by manager. Been a while since I wrote the last time. A bit of backstory relevant to the events. I am a transgender man, had my top surgery a little over a year ago, yay. However, for personal and medical reasons I decided to not go through HRT. Because of that and the fact my height is around 1.52, 4 feet 9 inches, I am stuck in being perceived as a teen/young adult. I am 35 years old. So now to the story. I was hanging out at my favorite coffee shop. I always stay on the smoking area as I am, a smoker. Anyways, law over here states that to be able to stay at a smoking area you need to be legal age to smoke, 18 years old. Keep in mind though, this law is not as harsh and strict as in other places like the US. Bit relevant also, I have been a regular at this coffee place for at least 10 years, I know most of the waiters by name. Karen enters with a kid around the age of 5, and invades 2 tables, bit rude since smoke area have only 6 tables, but whatever. One for her and the other for her son, who proceeds to take out some crayons and coloring book. I ignore all this as I am lost in the book I am reading. At some point I do a crazy thing such as light a smoke in a smoking area, and few seconds later I hear the dreaded sound of Karen clearing her throat. I ignore her, and the next exchange occurs. Karen, hey. Young man. Listen to me. Me, annoyed as hell that my reading was interrupted yet? Karen, don't you think it is a bit rude you are blowing smoke all over my son? Me, points to the big sign on the wall that says, smoking area, plus 18 only. Karen, do you even know how to talk? Are you retarded? Answer to me. You are too young to be smoking anyways. Me, whatever lady, proceed to take headphones out of my backpack and plug them in. Karen, keeps speaking but by the miracle of technology can't make out a word she says. So, I figured that was all. A few minutes later I notice some commotion around me and again hear the sound of dear Karen's banshee howls. I look up and see Karen arguing with one of the waiters and pointing at me, so of course I take off my headphones to hear what was that all about. Karen, you have to do something. He is clearly underage and blowing smoke all over my son, don't think for a second I won't call the police on this. Waiter, ma'am, as I already told you, I don't need to ask that young man's ID as he has been coming here for years. Karen, I don't care. I know the law and my rights. He needs to show his ID to stay on a smoking area. Kind of right, I will concede. Me, lost interest at this point and plug myself back to my music. Waiter, after a few futile minutes of arguing with Karen, taps my shoulder. Hey man, I am really sorry, could you just take out your ID so this lady can move on? Me, take out my ID from my back pocket, which is still with my dead name, as even though changing your birth certificate is legal and relatively cheap in Mexico City, I would have to spend around 1,000 USD to get all my paperwork, education degrees, passport, driver's license. You get my drill, changed, and I spent most my savings on my surgery. Waiter, okay ma'am, you can see that he has shown me a valid form of identification. Now you have your kid out here and... Karen, let me see that. Takes my ID from the waiter's hand. This is clearly fake. That is a woman's name. How dare you impersonate a woman? Waiter, ma'am, the ID is real and you need to give it back to him right now. Karen, no. I am calling the police right now so they can confiscate this and question him about why he is carrying a fake ID. That is a felony. Talking to me now? You have a lot to explain, young man. If only you could have been polite and not smoke all over my son. Me, Finally losing my patience, lady, I don't owe you an explanation, but for sakes of ending this and me going back to my book, I am a transgender man. I was born a woman but I am not one, and my ID still has to reflect my gender identity. All settled? Good. Now give me back my ID. Karen, while her face went from normal to red in less than 3 seconds, visibly disturbed. You are a freak. How dare you stand so close to my child? You are going to corrupt him. Now addressing the waiter, transgender. How dare you allow transgender sexual freaks here? Kid, mommy, what transgender means? Me, knowing that my afternoon is already spoiled and thinking, what the hell, let the world burn right now. I am transgender, that means I was born like a girl, but inside I always knew I am a boy, so I changed my name and how I look, and am very happy right now. Karen, this overlapped a little while I was speaking to her son. Don't talk to my child. Don't even dare. Kid, mommy, that means I can be a girl. Now I don't think the kid is trans asterisk or anything. This is actually a pretty common question when explaining little kids about trans asterisk people. Karen, took her a few seconds to get out of the shock of it all. How dare you? You are evil and you have just corrupted my son. I demand a compensation. Now my child is ruined. Now, as you can imagine, by then we had a pretty small crowd watching over, which eventually got manager's attention. Manager, what is going on out here? Ma'am, I will need to ask you to lower your voice and moderate your language. She used a choice of cuss words and offensive slang to refer to me, but won't even dignify to reproduce them. Karen, I will talk as loud as I want. It is outrageous what happens here. Are you in charge? Manager, yes ma'am, I am the manager of this coffee place, and if you don't lower your voice I will have to ask you to leave. Now can you explain to me, why are you yelling at my staff and costumers? Karen, I am a member of the Family League. Family League in Mexico is a right-wing association that fights against LGBT and rights in general, abortion, single moms, and yet everything that is not your traditional mommy, daddy, and kids family. I will have this place shut down in a heartbeat if I don't get a compensation right now. Manager, being a bit sassy at this point, and exactly why should we compensate you for? Karen, that freak made my boy transgender. You allow a sexual predator be here and corrupt young minds. Manager, and again, how that entitles you to any compensation? Karen, I will have to pay for therapy for my son now. Maybe even ask my congregation to pray over him. That costs money. This is reckless endangerment. Those freaks should be kept away from innocent, GD-fearing people. Guy costumer, come on lady. Stop. You have been drumming our ears for 10 minutes now with your ignorance and transphobia. If anyone is entitled to compensation, is us. Manager, I agree with him ma'am, please leave the premises. Karen, this is not the end of things. I will have your license in no time. Grabs her kid and proceeds to leave. Waiter, blocking her way, there is still the small matter of the bill ma'am, and give me the ID back. Karen, I didn't even got to drink my coffee, it is already cold. I shouldn't have to pay. Manager, that sounds like your problem, but if you want we can call mall security in no time. Let them settle this, and in the meanwhile also let them write a report of you having your son that is clearly underage on a smoking area. Now this kind of complaints may lead to the equivalent of CPS involved if mall security passes the report to the police. Karen is defeated at this point. Such a wonderful view. She threw my ID to the ground, got her kid and started leaving. As she left, I couldn't help myself. Probably not my brightest moment, but yet I was pissed. Me, yelling at her kid, hey kiddo. Remember, you can be anything you wanna be. Karen, huffs and puffs and gives me the finger as she walks away. Okay, so greetings from magical Mexico City. Thanks for letting me vent and for reading this, and much love to all my trans asterisk folks out there. Stay strong and don't let transphobes get you.